What, maybe 2 final questions, guys, because we could sit here all night. It's 10:09. Okay, what about you?
My name is Shruti, and my question, there's actually 2 parts of my question. I want to bring the discussion back to the political, social realm, away from the legal, technical penetration part of it. But on the political side, there were some points that were raised earlier by Dr. Chan and also by Mr. Siu regarding the perspective of the PAP, the government in terms of this, like some of the arguments that they would give against supporting the petition. And I would like to understand, or maybe, Mr. Siu, you can try to put yourself in the shoes of the government and tell us what are some of the considerations in the political, social, cultural side of things from the government when they receive the petition eventually, and what kind of considerations they would be thinking about, considering our different races, different religion, and some of the backlash that they could get from agreeing to the petition. And in relation to that, I want to ask Jolene and her team, and maybe you guys, what are the strategies that this campaign is going to use? Because, as it has been pointed out, a rights-based argument doesn't work with the PAP. So is there any way that this campaign can be taken off that critical realm and approach it in a non-critical way to sort of appeal to the government in a responsible advocacy manner to convince them?
Okay, before we actually carry on, I want to tell everyone the building will shut at 10:30. So we need to keep all of our questions really short and our answers even shorter, but succinct and filled with all kinds of information. Thank you.
Just so raring to go. And I'm just going to
please, and please do go ahead.
The first, I think the starting point has to be, I want to, if I misconveyed what I thought, I want to apologize, because I did not say that a rights-based approach doesn't work. I believe what I said is that the PAP doesn't like a rights-based approach. It's very different. I don't think it's correct to say a rights-based approach necessarily doesn't work. I think what the PAP doesn't like about it is that it puts power back to the people. It gives power back to the people. Because if you're our rights, all our rights, and that necessarily means that the government's ability to act is circumscribed. So I just wanted to correct that. On this question of how put myself in the government's shoes and how they feel if they receive a petition. I think first and foremost, the starting point is very clear. They do not want to be seen as being susceptible to public pressure. So in some ways, the more you push publicly, the less likely you are to get an immediate outcome that you want. Okay. But note how I phrase that. The less likely you are to get the immediate outcome. It doesn't mean that if you take a longer term view, you are actually taking 2 steps back. I mean, I'll share this with you, right? How I saw what I did in Parliament was really, look, PAP controls 82 seats. You're never going to get anything changed that they don't want to change. But what I thought was important was to look beyond that, right? And this is something that I think I did share with you very early on, which is that a public campaign of this nature almost guarantees that you will not get a change now. But the reality is, you're not going to get a change now anyway, right? We just changed the penal code in 2007. It was 22 years before that there was a major review of the penal code. So they were never going to change it in 2009 or even 2010. Right? But a campaign like this, I feel and I hope, because this is what I tried to do in Parliament as well, something like this could have an impact further down the road. And I'm thinking of when the middle level of civil servants and policymakers move up the chain and become important, and they start to make policy and start making decisions, then the lessons and the principles that they absorbed 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when they were more middle level, would stay with them. And then maybe they'll think more in terms of rights-based approach. So right now, you've say got the deputy director level kind of guy in MHA or MinLaw who feels that this should be abolished, right? And a campaign like this will reinforce that with him. 10 years later, when he's the perm sec, he's going to be so much more receptive to this. And that's the kind of timelines you're thinking of in an environment where really, you have a fairly monolithic entity that decides what the law is. So that's how I would see this.
Thank you.